Welcome to One-on-One with Leah. It's Friday morning in the Elgin and the Fox River Valley, and that means it's time for Leah to enlighten you with some interviews and ideas for the upcoming weekend. During One-on-One, you are invited to join Leah and her guests or live large for less with the radio shopping show by calling 847-931-1410. That's 847-931-1410. And now it's time to take it back live to Studio 14 and go one-on-one with Leah.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to WRMN. Perfect. Welcome to WRMN. This is Leah here on a Friday morning. This is a segment that we call One-on-One. And today I have a pleasure. First of all, I can't say I've got something more beautiful to watch out the window than I've ever seen before. And if I could have figured out a way to get it on here to show it to you, I would. But I have got, and we're going to bring him up on the screen here today, Amar joining me from MAACO. How you doing, my friend?
Great. It's good to be here again.
I tell you, he brought a little beauty. He and I happened to be pulling up at the same time, and I saw the car, and I was like, dang. And then I saw it was you behind it, and I thought he brought the car. That's like exactly what popped out of my mouth. I was like, he brought the car. First of all, it's sitting outside here. For those people who don't know what we're talking about, you happened, I can't remember if you happened across it, or how it is it that you got this car originally?
So I had some, one of my customers, he's a civil engineer by day, and then he flips cars as kind of a side hustle. So I've been painting, cars for him for years. And then one day he comes in and he asks me, he's like, Amar, when are you going to get yourself something? And I'm like, dude, I got kids going, they're going to be going to college soon. I got this going, I got that going.
And when he says kids, he's got triplets. So that means everybody's going to college at the same. It's not the scatter down that we have a break from. He's got all three at the booms. Okay, yes.
So he's like, well, I got a Mustang for sale. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a Mustang guy. I was really looking for a Firebird. Then he's like, and it's red. I'm like, well, red's not really my color. And he's like, it's a convertible. I'm like, I was looking for a hardtop. Then he made the sale. Then he's like, 5-speed manual, and it is supercharged. So supercharging adds a lot of horsepower. So it's a moderate build, but it's a 400 plus horsepower engine. So it's a blast to drive. So needless to say, I bought the car, and it's been a kind of drivable project since I bought it. And what I mean by that is when I bought it, the paint was peeling. It was like 7 different shades of red. There was overspray, like from when people tried to touch up stuff. The back window was not even in the car. It's like I had to get the convertible top replaced. So
it needed some love.
It still
TLC.
Needs more love. But I mean, it'll be 100%, by next year. I'm not in a rush to do it. But also I want it a certain way.
Right.
So since we bought the car, I have had the convertible top replaced, and I had the air conditioning fixed, which was, I paid people to do that. I had new tires put on the car.
We should say that. Let's make a point real quickly here, because Amar's joining us from MAACO, America's Body Shop. So when he says he paid people to do it, that means that America's Body Shop is more about the physical, the mechanical part of the car, not necessarily like air conditioning.
Yeah,
and things.
MAACO is more the exterior, like anything with paint on it, pretty much. So MAACO's really specializes in the exterior finish on the car, which was kind of fun because then I'm writing an estimate for myself and then having the guys in my shop do my own car. But then we also took this one as a little bit of an experiment, and we used House of Color red. Now, this House of Color paint is extremely expensive.
Well, you brought that up when you were first talking about initially your thing. I think I'm going to use this and to do the car.
It is an extremely high quality paint, and the metallic is like it's alive. I mean, it is unbelievable.
As we're talking right now, I'm going to try and get this up on my page as we're chatting a little bit about it. So and first of all, this is the reason you are the perfect definition of why I like metallic paint on a car. And this is a whole different level of it, folks.
Yeah.
But this is the reason I like it, because I like the reflection. I like the different angles that it gets. I like the sparkly pretty. That's why I'm not one of those matte paint persons. I know that's trending and some people like it. No,
That's
this
very
is
cool
it.
in the right application.
Yeah.
But it's like
You see a lot of Teslas with it.
It's like car guys feel like they're like car whisperers and stuff like that.
That's good.
So
that's
what
a good
I
way to
mean
say
by
it.
that is like my original plan was to paint this car plum crazy purple.
Okay.
Which whenever we paint a car plum crazy purple, I'm like, damn, I want that.
Uh-huh.
And but the more I looked at it, I go, this car is not meant to be purple.
No.
It's like I know something like supernatural about like the car, or something.
Right.
But we decided to stay with the red, and then that way, like the hard to reach parts like behind the engine and everything are also going to be red. There's parts underneath the car that are red. So I mean, this way all that goes together. And then also, I did some accents, which in a gray metallic, so you can tell it's a custom paint job. So far, I've only driven it out to one cruise night, maybe 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
You just had a great time, met a lot of nice people and got a lot of compliments on the car and, especially from the guys that were part of the Mustang group.
Are you going to do that for me? Ha! He's going to put the camera in the car.
Oh, okay.
The minute I saw him walk in.
No, so it's been a lot of fun. And then, with my kids, they don't really work on cars that much except for one of them. But I had all three of them kind of help me out. We pulled out all the seats. We replaced the carpet. We did, did a lot of reassembly and disassembly on the interior.
Okay.
And, so a lot of little things. And I'm sure I forgot a bunch of stuff that we did. We've had the motor break a couple of times, but it was pretty minor. So we just fixed it at home. And, so it's been a good learning experience, but then also, me and the kids were driving it around with that, nasty paint job all of last year. So all their friends saw the car last year, and then they saw it come out this year, and they're like, wow.
They're like, dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you look at it, and Sonar, bless his heart, is actually managed to take the street cam, and you can see it. But when you come across it, and I was showing Amar a picture, we were standing outside, I was taking a picture of it, and even on the picture that we took, you could see the color change, like from live to when the snapshot took place. Mm-hmm. It's got an orangey, kind of like a burnt orange or burnt sienna kind of coloring to it, and then it goes to the red. Mm-hmm. Now, I'd like to talk about on the spoiler that you had on there, because the accents, obviously the seat and the interior's got the gray, the charcoal, I call it charcoal gray, I don't know if it's technical, but it's got that on it. And then on the spoiler, you kind of did the highlight on there as black, which I think, or is gray, excuse me, this real dark gray, which is so cool.
Yeah, so the upper half of the rear spoiler is actually gray, but then the lower part of it is the same metallic red as the rest of the car. And we did this for a couple reasons. One was because I wanted the top of it gray so that if you're standing up looking down at the car, you would actually see gray on the spoiler or convertible top or the interior. And then, so it kind of breaks things up. But then also it's meant to be a little bit of kind of play with your mind a little bit, because normal people would assume that if they see gray on the spoiler that the whole thing's gray, but yet the bottom of it is not dark, and you do not get a dark shadow.
No.
So it's just a little bit of a kind of like, special accent in that it's meant to do that.
And now for this kind of undertaking, I know we've talking in the paint. The one thing that I also like about this, I look at it, and then maybe it's a terrible comparison, but I look at it when you have polish on your nails. Obviously, it's meant to be an accent. So when you do it, when you have that metallic, the grooves and everything just really are, they almost are accentuated. That's just on the framing of the car, the way the exterior is, the frame is.
Yeah, so this type of paint is, it's kind of like a candy coat. And what that means is that the paint's thicker. So what you're seeing is that, like, the different metallic actually accentuates.
Okay.
So, like, after we painted the car, I was looking at, wow, the car's got, like, real curves. It's got a got an hourglass going from the front to the back, which, when I first bought it, I'd never even realized.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, it's really a testament as to like the skill level and the abilities of the team at our shop. But we're most certainly, this is an exception. This is not what we do day to day, but it was a really fun project and I'm enjoying it, and the guys love seeing it, come in and, when I drive it in, my kids love driving it. And, like I was telling Leah, I mean, we drive it in the sun, we drive it in the rain, we drive it everywhere we want to go. And we just enjoy it. And, we push on it pretty good and, just enjoy having a sports car like this.
I can honestly tell you, I'm watching you on the screen and I can just see your face just lights up, it's just, you know what? It's a pride, it's a pride and something that, did you ever, and I know you, cause I know how much you enjoy cars and you brought up a little bit about the cars because they have a lot of car shows going up.
Yeah.
So you've sent to one. And I think last night I started reading them off and there's, between Culver's has one, they've got one at American Legion. I know there is a roving car show that goes from place, I think it's JP and
Yes.
there's, so there's another one that goes. Have you ever thought of having one of those over at MAACO? Do you have that capability over there?
I have thought about that. I'm not ready to do it quite yet, but I will do that one day.
Are you going to do it when the car's finished? Then that's when you'll decide to do it?
I'm not sure exactly what's the right time, but it will be fun and, but I don't know the ins and outs of car shows. As I go and I meet more people, I'll find people that, because if I have a car show, I want it to be cool.
Top notch.
I don't want to have like 6 cars show up and then we're like, this sucks and everybody leaves.
You know what you should do if you have the opportunity, and I'm going to go back to our screen here. We'll go back to the car in just a bit, just because it's a pretty thing to look at. We do a car show when we have our America's First Responder Fest. It's an event that takes place, and it's a pretty big car show there, and that's just not naming off some of the umpteen ones that are happening in the community. But when people do the car shows, I'm curious about this because I know you went to those prior to this project that you've done here. Enjoy those shows.
Yeah.
But do they always have it too that their automobiles are work in progress? Because some of them just have them for show. They got it complete and it's done and their work's done and they get off there and they show it off. But I think a lot of them would always have like a labor of love, like you're talking right now, that you're constantly working on it.
Yeah, it's definitely like that. Either they are, things that they're working on their own car, or maybe they have a second one in the garage that they're working on, or some guys have even more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an addiction and affliction, shall we say.
There's a reason those two words go together so easily.
And what's really entertaining about this is like, as far as this car being necessary, maybe, maybe not, but it does help to have another set of wheels, with 3 kids.
Right.
But then one of my kids, the most mechanical of the 3, he actually bought a hardtop 98 Mustang. So we're going to be kind of just working on it. We're not doing the same level as this, and we're going to sell it like later this summer.
What a great project to have with your son. And I know
it is. It's one of those things that my dad said it's a bad idea. My wife said it's a bad idea, but she was kind of supportive. It's like, yes, it does not make sense. Like we could get by without it, but I remember being a kid and how much like having a car was like a huge part of, like
it's an independence that goes with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, he's worked hard. He's played his cards. He's very smart with his investing and moving things around. And so he had the money. And and not only that, but it was a little bit of a fixer upper, so we bought the car pretty cheap, but we have to do work on it.
Right, but that also then shows the very fact you can tell he's a wise investment kid, adult, young adult, just for the simple fact that then he's going to fix it up and sell it. So he's looking at flipping, which is a means of just making more money.
I told him, you were doing that. We're not keeping this car. And because otherwise, where do you put all these cars?
That's true.
It's like I don't want to just have a bunch of stuff we're not working on in the back of the shop
hanging
or anything
out,
like that. It's like. Yeah, so it's like I understand what he's looking for. So, but then also, I don't know his exact move-in date, but I'm sure it's late July, early August.
Right.
So literally, like in a couple of weeks, we're going to be listing the car for sale.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Where are they going to school?
So Two of them are going to Ohio State University.
Okay.
So, and then, so Jamin is studying pharmacy, and he's direct admit into the PharmD program. So
Nice.
he's got his work cut out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roshan, the car guy, believe it or not, is going into mechanical engineering. So-
That's not surprising, but that's good. That's where his passion is.
yeah, and that's my background. So, he's been very, taking a lot of initiative on a lot of things. And then when he, needs help, it's kind of like my former career in a way. I just help him out, give him some ideas, but I don't do it for him, and he figures it out. He's the one that we built the go-karts with.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, the second one, he designed it, and we built it from scratch.
He was destined to go into mechanical engineering. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Which, of course, you had to see a little bit of you, just in that, knowing that's because in mechanical engineering, even engineering overall, there's a vision that somebody who has that gift sees, and they break it down. They might see a structure, but they'll break it down to figure out what it is that made that structure what
Yeah.
it is. There's just that's the way your mind works.
yeah, no, he's very good, and it's great to work on the cars with him because he's got this ability to find things that are not right, and identify them, and sometimes it saved me a lot of time. Like I had an older vehicle, not older, but this is years ago, that was making a weird buzzing that you hear in the ceiling over the driver's head.
Okay.
And it turned out there was a loose bolt on a brace under the hood, and that vibration just somehow kind of
Manifested
traveled up
right there. Right.
It had nothing to do with, and then when he just saw the bolt, he goes like, Dad, that bolt's not tight. So I tightened up the bolt, and I'm driving it, and I'm like, that sounds
sounds gone,
And
yeah.
it was pretty faint, it wasn't a big deal, but
It just was annoying, though.
It's the fact that he just saw that, and he said something about it. It's like, all right, because 3.5 seconds later, we tightened the bolt, and we didn't know at the time, but then I was driving it the next day. I just figured, tighten the bolt because it's not tight.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that was loose is because that vehicle, I had to replace the battery years ago.
Okay.
When we had that really, really cold polar vortex.
Yep.
So, I was freezing, and it died on me in the parking lot.
Get it in the house.
So I think I just ended up, not really snugging that down, but then at least we got back to it. But yeah, so we're enjoying that. A lot of guys in the industry are car guys. Like I said, this is not our main focus, but just the fact that we're able to do it and able to pull it off is, definitely some sort of endorsement. But yeah, we are still doing the usual retail work, the usual, work on regular cars, do insurance claims and, whatever else people need to keep their, cars enhanced. Another thing that a lot of people do is before a lease turn in or before they put a car up for sale, they'll bring it in for an estimate. And, if you are in that situation and you call us, schedule an estimate, then bring it in and just flat out tell us that, hey, I'm looking for the most bang for the buck to clean up this car.
Right.
I'm going to be selling it within the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a different approach than I plan to keep this car another 10 years and then give it to my kids.
Right.
So
it's a matter, how I equate that to staging a house. Before you sell it, you want it looking prim, you want everything working, you want everything checking out. So if somebody's going to look under the hood, everything's working the way it should, because that's going to increase the value.
Yes.
And chances are you'll make more money for the automobile then as well. So it's look at it like that, folks. And so I never thought about that, because we're going to be selling a car. And the one thing, we had one that was sitting over the winter. So we're going to end up getting a new battery for it, because the battery, if you don't run it, I'm going to guess the battery eventually dies. Is that right?
It can, and sometimes slow charging it will bring it back to life.
Like a trickle charger kind of thing?
Yeah, like a 2 to 4, maybe even 6 amps at the most.
Okay.
But you charge it overnight. It's not just a couple hours.
No, it's meant to constantly, it's constantly giving it a charge and helping it revamp up. Right?
And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you just got to look at it.
Because we've tried charging it, we've tried jumping it, and then it's a 2020. So we've tried jumping it and then running it around and hoping that it would hold the charge. And once you shut it off, it's just completely dead.
Yeah. So we do run into that from time to time. Especially on longer projects that sit in our shop, We start the car, we move it just a little bit, we turn it off.
Right, just to make sure you got the battery running, right?
So we have chargers at the shop, and we just, routinely will do that. If we see that we have to jump a car, then we'll, just recharge it so we don't have to keep doing that.
So if somebody wants to do that, I know you're going to tell me it's going to matter how much you want to, how much you need to get done in order for that car. But boy, I tell you what a great investment to put in, because the bottom line is it's going to increase the value of the car when you put it to the sale block.
Yeah, because like an example, for instance,
Such a good point.
With insurance, we do what's called a Class A repair. Now, Class A repair is the best way to do the repair. So, for instance, you might disassemble it. You might take the taillight out, for instance, the quarter panel glass, disassemble, take off the rear bumper if you want to paint and blend on, say, the quarter panel. And, so you're doing everything, quote, quote, the right way.
Okay.
But the thing is that if you're just looking at, I want this to look good for a little while, you know what? Leave the taillight in there. We mask around it. Is that good? It's all right. Is it the right way to do it? No. But if you're looking for something quick, and that's what you ask for, and we explain it to you, and you understand what you're getting, we'll be happy to save you the money, as long as you're not surprised. It's one of those things that's going to look good,
right?
But it's not going to last 10 years.
That's why, first of all, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to lean to the camera on this one, because this is why I say it's so important that you find somebody like Amar and at America's Body Shop, because the first thing, like he said, he's going to ask you is, all right, now you're doing this to sell it, like you're going to be moving it right away, or you're doing it for longevity? Because if that's the case, you're going to be giving them two completely different answers or recommendations. And if they do it as a quick sell, I also enjoy that you always kind of put a little disclaimer on there, say, okay, we'll do it because you asked me to. So it means that you're listening to them and not trying to talk them out of doing something more.
Because a really common example is say that someone has a front door replaced on their car.
Okay.
You can get a used door pretty economically, and then we swap over everything. I mean, at the end, it is not cheap, but it's a very good value. Now, if it's a black car, just paint the door, stick it on there, and it'll be pretty close.
Okay.
But if it's a red metallic, green metallic, now
you're matching those.
Then the door will look different than its neighboring panels. Okay? Is that okay with you or not?
Right.
If you're fixing the door because you had to get in the car from the passenger side and hop over to center console, the fact that you can open and close the driver's door is a huge
absolutely,
right? But if you want the car to look like it never happened, then we have to, do the blending and everything. So,
and I will real quickly, again, we're speaking with Amar from MAACO, America's Body Shop. And I've got the street cam right now looking out at the car. So he brought in the Mustang today. What's the year on here?
This one's a 98.
So a 98 Mustang. And I will say, from having things that are, it's not necessarily a two-tone, it's more of an accent paint work I think I see on it, between the spoiler and having the bumper. I think even the bottom underbelly of the bumper is that gray too, right?
But the lower reveal on the rear bumper is also the gray metallic.
And the one thing I'm bringing up is, normally I would not necessarily be a fan of different colors and different parts of the automobile, but what I'm gonna there we go. We've got our little Showtime girl out there showing the car for everybody. See, and exactly with the interior, that's a beautiful thing. But normally I would not necessarily like having the different colors like that. But because it's such a rich tone and it's such a deep charcoal, even the tad lighter seats that are on the inside, even just make it complement each other. So I have to say, I wouldn't have necessarily put a charcoal gray with the red like that, but you see it together and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the nice thing is this is not like the first car we painted. We've done a lot of cars, and we see a lot of different things, and we do things, sometimes we do things to save people money.
Yeah.
For example, I had a customer that had a pearl white vehicle, and it had a lot of sunroofs on it. It was one of those SUVs with the panoramic
front and back
views.
sunroof. Yeah.
So he had corrosion in that little panel just above the front windshield, and it would have been very expensive to paint that pearl white. So I asked him if he's okay if we just paint it black. And black is not a tri-stage paint. Black is cheap. Black is easy. And he's like, yeah, that'd be fine. So when we painted it now, it looks like one whole piece of glass on the roof,
Right.
which looks like it was meant to be.
Uh-huh.
And he saved money.
Right.
It's like if we did that as a Class A repair, it would have been, prohibitively expensive.
Now, let me ask what that means, because sometimes we know our language. What'd you call it?
Tri-stage?
Tri-stage paint. Does that mean there's different levels of it, like a primer and
Yes.
da-da-da-da? Or what does that mean?
So different paints have different levels of opacity.
Okay.
So opacity means you cannot see through it.
Got it.
White is one of the most opaque colors. That's why, like, if you go to a hardware store, right, if you buy primer to cover up a wall, it's white.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons. And so that pigment's called titanium dioxide, and it is extremely effective.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you were to just put metallic particles in white, that does get done in some colors. You don't really see them.
No, because they're getting
So,
covered up.
Picture yourself being a metallic particle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
This is where the engineering comes into play.
if you jump into a crystal clear swimming pool, you can see your toes, right?
Right?
So you, being the metallic flake, can see metallic.
Yep.
Okay. Picture yourself jumping into a scuzzy pond, okay? Or a can of white paint. It's like you don't see anything.
No.
And not only that, but silver and white do not have a lot of contrast either. So what they do on the pearls is that they'll actually spray like just a solid, by solid I mean non-metallic, base coat. Then there's a whole separate set of layers they call a mid coat, which is the pearls and the metallics in a clear coat.
Okay.
That's called mid coat. And then above that, you do a clear coat. So instead of being, say an average of 6 layers for the paint, it's 9. And then you have more material and you have more time.
Got it.
And not only that, but when you make a repair, the blend area is more than double the size because you have to blend the mid coat and the base coat. So now a dent in the middle of the door with with a regular metallic or a solid color, you just fix the dent and blend it in within the same door. On a pearl car, you may have to blend the panel in front of it and behind it as well.
Right.
In order to. So
that's why I was asking you, because knowing the work you did on here, and I know I've kept you way longer than we were intended, but I just love talking about this, and it was so exciting to see him pull up today. I was like, well, geez, is this like it goes in the shop right away? And you're like, nope, we drive it out. The kids drive it. It's meant to be out there and ridden, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, everybody's very careful with it. I mean, especially because, the kids know it's I'm going to say that it's harder for kids to work on cars because, a lot of it gets more expensive and it's not like it was 40 years ago or, but they understand what went into it.
Yeah.
Because they participated in some small section of it or even a bigger section of it. So they know, to take care of it, and they know that you don't park it anywhere where it might get scratched or,
You're in that last stall in the parking lot, my friends, at the very end, so you don't pull in any tight spots. But you know what? And I also think that's where guys look at it differently than girls. You know what I mean? That's a baby. That's something that is I would not want to be the one that's going to even get near doing it. I was like, can I touch it?
One of the things that's really funny is whenever they ask me to borrow the car, like, they expect a yes or no. But every time it's like, where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you going? When will you be back? And
they're checking it out, literally checking it out.
and my wife's like, you're more worried about your car than the kids. And I'm like,
I can see you going, that's right. Yep. For now, the kids I know, the kids I'm fine. Yeah.
It's just that I'm not gonna give an open-ended see you next week or anything like that. Because honestly, I don't want them to park the car at certain people's houses because it is risky.
Not only that, but I've noticed that kids too, the one accident my son had gotten into is he was at his friend's house and a bunch of other friends were there, and it just became a backup issue.
Yeah.
He was backing up and all of a sudden the other car was on the street. So if you're going to be parking it on the street, you don't put it right directly on the outside of a driveway because if somebody doesn't cut it right, they're going to be taking out the car. So little things like that, which I can understand. And again, it's Amar over at America's Body Shop. We need to you got 5 minutes yet?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we need to take a real quick commercial break. What we're going to do is come back with more one-on-one. Today we're speaking with Amar. I'm going to hold him on for one more second because we want to talk a little bit about the body shop. And again, this is the reason we're going to look at, and Amar and I are going to work on a date to get over there to broadcast actually live from MAACO. And then people will be able to kind of see it. So hopefully we'll have it on display. But we're going to take a break real quickly. We'll be back with more one-on-one with Leah in just a bit.
Weekend, which airs every Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. right here on WRMN. Each week on the popular 3-hour program, Brown offers listeners a fresh take on the weekend talk with his provocative insights into current events, politics, and culture. So late in the day on Saturday, make it a point to catch The Weekend with Michael Brown right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
We hope you're enjoying One-on-One with Leah, which features the Radio Shopping Show, the most amazing show on the radio. Call 847-931-1410 now to live large for less with Leah. That's 847-931-1410. And now back to Studio 14 in downtown Elgin as you go one-on-one with Leah.
And welcome back, everybody. This is Leah with One-on-One. You can see, obviously, that I've got Amar hanging out with me. He is with MAACO Carpentersville, and I've got a beautiful shot of the camera right now, once again, on that automobile. And I'm going to guess that we'll get something set up for the summertime, just so you can get out there and see it. The one thing I wanted to do, Amar, is we were talking so much about the car. I want to let people know what's happening with MAACO and at MAACO. Do you have summer events, or what kind of work do you end up doing in the summertime that probably keeps you hopping?
Yeah, so we have a really, really good split of work. So we do a lot of work for insurance companies, like collision work, fix cars, negotiate with the insurance companies and try to get you the best repairs. We are not on a DRP program, so that puts us in a position where we can negotiate the best repairs.
Tell me what DRP means.
So DRP is a kind of backdoor arrangement between a repair shop and an insurance company where they automatically accept whatever the insurance company dictates to them.
Got it.
So say, for instance, you have a Chevrolet, and they'd be like, all right, put on an aftermarket bumper. So do you want a bumper that was made in Taiwan, or do you want to have a choice? Now, the insurance company, based on what your agreement is, may or may not cover an OEM bumper. I have mentioned on the show before,
bumper.
OEM means like a Chevrolet bumper on a Chevrolet, original equipment.
We did talk about this.
Yeah, so it's like a $40 or $50 a year option, but it is not a default, and none of the agencies tell you about it. Ask your agent. Say, hey, if you got a car that's fairly new and you want to, have the best coverage, but the catch is that if somebody hits you, it's not on their policy, it's only on yours. But if you make a claim, then you'll get all new parts, all OEM parts, no questions asked.
That we brought that up once before, so that's such a great point. And so that's just something when you are signing up for your insurance, or you can contact your insurance dealer, spokesperson, and tell them that you want that on your car, that option.
So insurance is a big part of what we do. What we call retail or out of pocket is a big thing. Like, people's, kind of run into their garage door frame and slightly damage the car. Door dings, like scrapes, minor accidents. A lot of times, if you get in that situation, call us right away, set up an estimate, because sometimes people want to go through insurance on it. Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes if your deductible on your insurance is high, it's cheaper, it can be cheaper out of pocket. And also when you put a claim on your insurance, most often then your insurance will go up.
But I mean, if your car is safe to drive, that's the right thing to do.
That's the question. You taught me that. That's the question. Anytime I go and if I have to get some work done on the underbelly on the engine of my car, I'll say, I said, is it okay to drive? Is it safe to drive? That's all. There's a confidence, especially for a girl, because I'm not that gifted at it. But there's a confidence that happens when I'm driving. Do you always recommend that people call and make an appointment or book an appointment to get it looked at? Because I know you will never do that over the phone. You really can't do that unless you're physically looking at the automobile.
We do not give any sort of quote over the phone, and we don't even like to give ballpark figures over the phone, because we have to see what we're working on.
Yep.
And, Yeah, I love the way we always get sidetracked, by the way.
I know. That's what I mean. He and I could probably do a 2-hour show. That's no lie. But yeah, okay.
So I mean, the best thing is to come in and, just be honest with us, and we'll be honest with you. You got to tell us what you want. Like if you're just like, I just want to get the car back on the road as cheap as possible. Okay, that's different than I'm going to keep the car for 10 years and then give it to my kids.
Right.
So insurance is a huge part of what we do. Retail, or out of pocket is a huge part of what we do. We have a lot of different fleet accounts, and I'm not going to divulge the accounts that we have, but
and a fleet account, again, talking the language, a fleet account is a business that has multiple trucks or automobiles that are out on the road that you service.
Yeah. So like rental car companies, car dealerships, that type of work, and also like company car fleets and stuff like that. We have a lot of those accounts, and so they trust us to fix their cars and manage it through their process. We do classic cars. It is a very limited availability on how many we can do at a time. We only want to be working on one, so we can only do so many of those a year.
Do you have people on staff that specialize more on one side or the other side?
Yes, but I mean, everybody has to do everything.
That's true. You have to know how to do everything.
And,
right.
We also do a lot of like what we call lower end dealer work, which is part of our fleet. So like the quick and dirty stuff, which, is not the best way to do things, but it's a need. We can do it. We do it for them, and they're happy.
Serviceable. Yeah, believe me, when you got a lot of cars on the road, that gets awfully expensive. So make sure it's safe to drive, and the rest is good to go. What's the phone number if somebody wants to call and set up an appointment with you?
So phone number at MAACO Carpentersville is 847-551-5299. And don't be intimidated to call us, because it is very easy to get in a time, and we usually have quite a lot of availability. But what we're trying to avoid is to have like 6 people show up at the same time, and then now person number 6 is waiting over an hour to get an estimate.
Right.
That's not good for either of us, because then we have an irate customer, and they've wasted a good chunk of their day. I
always say, if you make an appointment, you're looking at that one-on-one focus. It means you are booking that time with this individual who's got the skill and the talent to fix your car the way you want it. Make the appointment, because then you're going to get that one-on-one attention.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a very lean staff. So, the 2 people up front, myself and the other estimator, I mean, we're booking appointments, we're writing estimates, we're managing parts, we're managing production, we're doing a lot of different things, So, but people have been, really nice, really cool, really understanding. Like, if they walk in, I'm in the middle of ordering a part, I'll finish ordering that part, but I mean, obviously be courteous to the customer. But I'll just want to finish ordering that part so it doesn't like fall through the cracks, and then it's like we go like the next day and it's like, where is it?
Yep. Again, it's an attention to detail, making sure you follow through from start to finish. That's why you're going to get great service at MAACO Carpentersville. Your hours, what are your hours during the week?
So during the week, it's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then on Saturday, it's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Got it.
If those hours don't work for you, call me, ask for me, and there are days that I can stick around a little bit late, but I don't want to commit to that unless that's the only thing that'll work for you. Then just like anything else, if you need it done, we'll figure it out.
I always say you're going to make it happen, right? Amar, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to get a little finished vision on the car here, just because it is so beautiful. I know I got to go between Amar's picture and the car. Amar's picture and the car. Chances he'd say the car. I knew that's where you'd go with that. Well, I want to say thanks, Amar, for joining us today. It's a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it, and I look forward to watching this beauty continue.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Leah.
All right. We're going to take a real quick commercial break. We'll be back with more one-on-one with Leah in just a bit.